Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. It is Monday, August 26th, 2024. I just walked outside and the backyard is filled with smoke. I come out of the house, getting ready to come in here and get started. I look over into Roger's backyard and it is just full of smoke. And I'm like, oh no, that's not a good sign. So I took a quick picture just to show you. Now, this doesn't look as dramatic as it feels, but let me tell you, there is actually a lot of smoke coming through the backyard and drifting across. And that's never fun. You know, it's okay to have burn leaves and all that stuff, but when it comes out and you just see it drifting through your backyard, you're like, oh no, where is that coming from and where is it going? And so I had to walk back in the woods and look around a little bit. I'm assuming that somebody is just burning a pile of leaves and not trying to burn down the neighborhood. So let's hope it's that, because I would really not be happy to have my shop burned down, or the house, or anything else for that matter. But let's hope we have a good live stream tonight. I have been doing this for I don't know how long now. 3 years? I don't even know. It's been quite some time. And all of my live streams are in, I guess, in a podcast format. So somehow, some way, if you want to listen to these later, you can just listen to them. I don't know. I don't think you have to watch the video part. I'm guessing there's some sort of podcast function. And I have, I don't know how many hours of just podcasts or this type of format going on. We have a few things to talk about tonight, and hopefully all goes well. And I do encourage everybody to be involved. It's one thing for me to host this and to try to relay information or talk about things or tell stories or whatever. But sometimes, it's good to have input and have questions asked. And of course, we all know there are many people here who are frequently here. And for the most part, this live stream is about classic cars, and what I say is classic to me is 55-ish to 79, 80-ish. That's kind of the realm on classic cars. When you start going forward past that point, you start running into changes in electronics, drivetrains, functions and different things as they progress forward. So the bracket feels pretty comfortable in that range. And of course, we will talk about Mustangs or Camaros or Mopars or any of the like. And I hope that everybody is involved. I can actually smell the smoke coming into the garage somehow. It shouldn't be able to, but I'm able to smell it. So if you see me panic and get up and leave, the garage is on fire. If you do participate, you get a bell, just to let everybody know that you are part of the process. And hopefully we get a lot of those tonight. Now, there are a couple things I'm going to talk about specifically, but let's see who's here tonight, and we'll kick this off, okay? So the first one in is Dave Tyson, our first Dave sighting. Welcome, Dave. Good evening, all. Glad you're here. Terry Keithley. Hot, good evening, all. Please hit the thumbs up and like for Barry. Thank you, Terry. And I'm sure Betty and the cats. They all send to join in. Richard Vogel. Good evening, Barry. Good evening, Richard. Glad you're here. And Travis has a couple of things. He says, good evening, all. And also share the video. I think we shared enough for others to get to know this channel. That would be great. It would be great to have a lot more views and subscribers and all that stuff that makes the YouTube world go round. But I appreciate that, Travis. So welcome. Also, he's my #1 patron. So welcome. C&J Hoyt. Good evening, Barry. But it's only 4 p.m. out here in the Pacific Northwest. Well, yeah, okay. I'm glad you're here. 4 p.m. That's good of you to check in that late in, or that early in your afternoon. How do I put it? late in the afternoon, early in the evening. So glad you're checking in. Hindsight 67, Roger, greetings from next door. Glad to hear Raj. Let me know if flames start licking at the back of the garage, or you see anything flaming up in the tree line. That would be good to know ahead of time. Robert, evening all. He's Infernal Craftsman, by the way. Evening all. Misery season is finally here, and summer is starting. Daily temps are finally under 100 to 105 degrees. Yes, and that, of course, he's in Texas, and here in Georgia, we've had some decent weather the last week or so. Temperatures in the low 60s in the morning, which is fantastic. And of course, it's getting up into the 90s in the afternoon, evening, or afternoon, whatever, late afternoon, early evening. So this is what we tend to brand as false fall, right? We start to think, oh, fall's here. It's time to do this or do that. And then the next week, it's back up to 90 degrees, and you're like, ah. So that's where we're at. We're in that phase of the season right now here in Georgia. The Dutchman's Wood Shack. I'm ready. Okay. Glad to hear it. Rick Gain. The summer sure went by awfully quick. Not looking forward to the winter. Hope everybody's doing well tonight. Thank you, Rick. Yes. I know in Georgia, we still have a little bit of time before fall actually hits. So, but yeah, I know up north, it's going to be cooler sooner. And speaking of that, let me transition a little bit here. This coming weekend, we're doing another trip to go get the 70 Mustang, the 70 Mach 1 that's up in Pennsylvania. So my wife and I are going to take the truck and the tow dolly and head up north, spend a couple days with our families, and pick up that car and bring it back. And so that'll be here, which also means I may not be doing a live stream next Monday. Just keep that in mind, because we'll be dealing with family and all kinds of stuff. But we plan to come back on Tuesday. So we'll see how that trip goes. Hopefully it goes smooth. I'm not trying to be in a hurry, and you don't want to be towing a car and have problems. So it's going to be just take my time and kind of enjoy the trip. Hopefully. Bob Shoemaker, evening all. Yes, end of hot August and a forecasted rainy, cooler weekend to close her out. Okay. We haven't had rain in a couple weeks, I don't think, here in our area. But grass is still green. Everything's growing. James, my Mustang Garage. Good evening all. Glad to be here. Glad to hear, James. Lost 2-1. Hi all. Hello. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. You're not lost right now. You're found. Rusty's Restoration. Hello, Barry, and all from Southern Indiana. Thumbs up. Everyone give a thumbs up. Yes, thank you, Rusty. Jerry is checking in. Lalina DeQuina. Howdy, Barry. Howdy, y'all. Hope all are well and have a good stream. I second the idea that Robert's misery of summer should be winding down too. There you go. Good to hear, Jerry. Bowler hat guy, David. Good evening. Good evening, David. Glad you're here. Rick Stevenson. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Rick. First sip of coffee when Rick shows up. But if he doesn't, I have to take a sip anyway. Jerry's Garage, the Money Pit. Good evening to all from Middle Tennessee. Thumbs up for Barry. Thank you, Jerry. Hope all is well with you. C&J, have you had an issue with the top cowl panel and dash not sitting right or flush to each other? 66 coupe. Issue with, let's see, top cowl panel and dash not sitting tight, or flush to each other. I've only done a few of the cowls on those cars, and I have not had any issue. And I guess part of it is where did you get your cowl panel from? And are you using the upper and the lower cowl together, or are you using an assembled cowl to where they're pre-assembled? Or are you just using an upper? So give me a little more information on what you got going on there, and we'll see if we can help. Roger, I'll definitely keep an eye out for flames. Yeah, thanks. you know, it's it's a reality. It was I don't know, a couple of years ago. I I heard something going on, or sirens or something, or I went to walk the dog, and kind of catty corner to our house through the trees, I saw roaring flames. Come to find out, the guy's shop caught on fire, and he had two Mustangs in there that I didn't even know he had in there. I think one of them burned up, and he got one out, but it was a huge mess. I mean, it destroyed his whole shop, and had to rebuild the whole thing. Here I am looking through the tree line and seeing these flames. It's like, oh, not good. I was pulling out the garden hose. I'm getting ready to start spraying down stuff, try to defeat it. But thankfully, the fire department took care of it, and we didn't have to worry about it. Harvey checking in from Rally Cat Garage. Hello, Barry. Hope you're doing well. Happy Monday to all. Happy Monday to you. Steve Reed. Hello, Barry and everyone. From Paducah, Kentucky, if I remember correctly. Glad to hear Steve. We have Kevin. Hello from Canada. 70 Mustang. That Mach 1 is as old as I am. Yep. Yep. And this one's even older. Well, parts of it. Glad to hear, Kevin. I don't know if I give you a bell or not. You get a bonus bell. Steve Reed. Try working on my Mustang some today, but just too hot outside. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm thankful I was able to keep the garage door closed up. I did strip this right front fender yesterday. I don't know what day it is. What today's? Maybe yesterday afternoon. I took the fender outside and was able to strip it down, get all that cleaned up, and just making progress as I try to get ready for epoxy. And I do have some information. I posted earlier on Facebook, and I have made some video about these openings on the Cobra Jet, on the Mach 1. And so I was fitting the original vent pieces, the vent looking things, and they don't fit. And I figured out why, and I fixed it on the other side. I have to verify this side will need the same thing, but I already did the other side, got it straightened out. And so it wasn't that difficult, but it was an issue that had to be addressed. And I'm glad, as I always say, test fit, test fit, test fit. I'm getting ready to put epoxy on this car, and had I not looked at that and gone through painting and everything else, and then tried to put those pieces on, they would not have fit correctly, and I would have been kicking myself for that. So keep test fitting. C&J, both new from CJ Pony. Okay, so I'm assuming an upper and a lower piece, separate, is what I'm assuming. I'm a little hesitant with CJ Pony. I don't know. I've heard CJ Pony has this weird kind of deal going, and I'm not sure how they get what they do, but they'll tell you that their parts are made by dynacorn when they're not. I don't know what they're doing. They'll say this quarter panel or whatever, this is dynacorn or made on dynacorn tooling, and it's not. So I don't know what kind of agreement they made with dynacorn, but the pieces they're putting out, they're CJ Classic stuff. A lot of it just doesn't fit. And they're trying to make people believe that they are a better quality piece than they are. So I don't know if this is like a CJ Classic piece you have. I can tell you the pieces that I bought in the past from Mustangs Unlimited before they went out of business, they fit really well. I didn't have any issues with those. So I have not dealt directly with these panels from CJ Pony. So I don't know if there's some, tolerance that they're going by that may throw it off. I don't know for sure. Yeah, right there it says the box said dynacorn. See, and that's where I really get cautious because let me ask you this: are they silver, or are the panels black? That's going to be the first thing I'm going to need to know as far as that goes, because just anything body panel like weld-on pieces that I found, everything is silver from dynacorn. The door, like the doors for this car, they were black. But they were definitely an independent stamping. They weren't the same as other brands. So If it's an all black panel, it's unlikely that it's actually dynacorn. Okay, so he says weld through primer. Okay, that's good. So silver. All right, so maybe it is. Maybe it is a true dynacorn. Well, sounds like it should be a true dynacorn piece. I could smell that smoke coming in here. Kind of starting to mess with me a little bit. So now you have to consider, whenever you took the old one out, what did you do to take it out? As far as drilling out the welds or grinding off the welds, was there chisel and hammer and reshaping, deforming of the parts, that sort of thing? I really can't say, like, if that flange for the dash is slightly out of shape, that could affect it, of course. But, there's not much I can tell you to do besides clamping everything up and see what doesn't line up and then adjust from there. You're not going to reshape the cowl. You leave it the way it is. If you have to move something within, aside from changing the flange for the windshield opening, I mean, you can look at it, and if it's bent the wrong way, you may have to hammer and dolly that up a little bit or something. But you shouldn't have to do anything crazy to make that piece fit correctly. That's where I'm at with that. Richard, CJ carries China corn parts. Yeah, they're all. I mean, that's all of them. Any brand up there. But you're right. Dawn, hello from sunny 85-degree PDX. Betsy has been on the back burner for 3 weeks. Yep. Well, glad to hear, Dawn. Hope all is well. James, lower cowl to upper cowl does not meet together flush. It is actually offset. Lower cowl welds near upper at windshield seam. The upper creates the windshield flange. Yes. Yeah. Oh, I mean, that's a valid point. It's not meant to be all the flanges meet at the same place. The windshield flange and the upper cowl mate together, and on the lower dash flange sits just lower than that flange. So Steve, I got an upper and lower cowl from a 61 Mustang and it fit good, and mine was silver and came from CJ Pony. Good. Okay. Well, I have seen it to where I've had dynacorn or labeled dynacorn parts, or they claim they were dynacorn parts, and you pull them out of the box and they're the black and they're not stamped right. So again, they have to have some sort of arrangement, and I don't know what that is that they've done with dynacorn. Rusty sent you a picture of my 65 finishing all the odds and ends. Okay. Let me see if it shows up. Oh, there it is. Okay. So we'll download that and add that to the pictures. So let's take a look and see what he's got. Ooh. I like it. Nice and clean. Yeah, that's really cool. So I see original radiator, shock towers. Everything looks good. Of course, I see it. The picture I see is much smaller than probably what everybody else is seeing. But yeah, that looks nice. Good job. Okay. Richard says, Barry, what is on fire? I joined a little late tonight. I don't know for sure, but it's behind the garage, behind the tree line. Neighbors are burning something. And I'm assuming they're burning like leaves and sticks and junk, but there's like no wind. There is like no wind. And so it is just drifting our direction and hovering over the garage and Roger's backyard. There's no wind. It's just barely moving, this cloud of smoke. So, and I can't believe it. This garage is pretty tight, and I'm starting to smell it in here. It's messing with my throat already. Rusty will be painting the outside when better weather arrives soon. Yes. Yeah, that's that's like the status with this car. Um, and I have talked with Tammy on this car, and we talked about where we're at and what the plans are. So, um, for the most part, I feel like I'm done with the build process, which is where what I agreed to with Charles primarily was to build the car, and now I'm getting into the paint phase. And of course, when it's hot, I can't really paint, but I'm very close to being able to tape this thing off and start putting some epoxy on it. Button things down and make some paint stick to it, or primer, I should say. Evan's Messy Garage made it. Hey Barry and everybody, glad you're here, Evan. Nothing wrong with a messy garage, I guess. Michael Pagliarini, evening all. Evening, Michael. Glad you're here. Hope all is well. Oh, I have something I need to bring up. Another thing I need to bring up. But we've got a couple things to talk about. I was recently contacted by somebody selling parts. And I mean a bunch of parts. And I'm unsure how I should deal with what he's offering. So he has sent me these pictures, and this guy is a builder, or he was a builder. He retired from building Boss 302 cars and Cobra Jets and all kinds of stuff. Sent me pictures of the cars that he's built. He has sent me pictures of parts that he wants to part with. Now, in his collection of stuff, there's a nodular 9-inch rear end. Looks like it's detailed and painted. There is looks like a top loader, I guess a top loader 4-speed. There is a Boss 302 engine, complete. There is some 428 parts. There is a shaker air cleaner, fenders, all kinds of stuff. I mean, his pictures, there's just piles of these items. And I can't even tell you what all is there because I just there's too much to look at. So I've tried to tell him to get me more detailed pictures and then let me know, what he's asking for this stuff. Now, he wants to sell everything in bulk, which is the difficulty. I don't know what a Boss 302 original engine is worth. I have no idea. I don't know what other pieces and parts are worth. He also has some sort of dealer manuals, a bunch of those you can go through and look at really detailed pictures of parts and just illustrations, big thick books, and these are like dealer things. So he's offered them to me, but I can't justify probably buying all that stuff because I don't have a place to put it, first of all. Secondly, I don't know that I could afford it because I don't know what an original Boss 302 is worth. Pieces and parts, I could probably wedge in here and there. I know there's a set of 70 front fenders, 69 front fenders, and I'm sure there's gobs more stuff, but I just don't know. I don't know for sure. So that is something I'm trying to figure out, and I'm trying to contact other people that I know who are into this stuff and see if possibly they're interested in maybe a package deal. Maybe we get together and buy it all and then do something with it. I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet, but I could probably post some pictures because the guy it all seems legit to me. He's not like trying to make something up. But let me grab a couple of pictures and send and put up on the screen. So I have to email them to myself real quick. But again, I don't know for sure what some of this stuff would be worth. Uh, and I know that I'm not going to be building a boss car. It's very unlikely that I'm going to find anything that would be worthy of that build. Um, and I don't know anybody who needs like an engine for a boss car. I don't know. So, all right. So we have here King Tuck. Mustang is ready. All right. Glad you're here, Tuck. Steve Reed, a friend of mine sold a 302 Boss motor for $1,500 and needed to be rebuilt. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I just don't know. I don't know what the parameters are for something like that. As to if the numbers are going to make a difference, or what, I don't know. And it may be worth it, something more to other people than me. I just don't have a clue, because I haven't been down that path. Let me get one more picture, and then I'll pull these up here. So if anybody knows anybody who needs a Boss 302, might be able to hook them up. But I'm going to get this. So here's a shot of the side of the engine, of course the valve cover. Here is the top of it. And let me see what the other ones were. Here is, let me pull that up. Come on, it's loading. There's a 4-speed, and then I think this should be the nodular rear end. Now, again, I don't know the quality of any of these parts. I don't know if anything is worth having, or whatever. I really don't know. I just know that I can't take on all of it. I couldn't. It's not going to happen. James says, I heard Jerry Heasley buys all Cobra, Jet, and Boss parts. It's very possible. Richard, Bob Perkins is a great guy to ask about the Boss 302 engine. That's a good point. I've got a couple people I could probably throw that at and see what happens. The Dutchman's Wood Shack, hi from Geneva, Illinois. Hello, Dutchman. Glad you're here. And Mustang Sassy? Okay. Kevin, it would be something to get that Boss 302 and put it in that coupe you have that you want to rebuild. Yeah. But I don't know the parameters of the engine. I'd have to contact the guy and get some more information. He did give me the stamping number on the side, so to verify the date code and stuff like that. But I'm gonna put some other feelers out. There are some people that follow me on the Facebook page, and they have they are like judges in the Mustang world. They've given me some great information on the some of the detail stuff that I've asked about, and so maybe they can give me some input. Maybe they can help me out with it. I'll have to try to dig a little bit more, I guess. Steve Reed, it was original to a '69 Mustang Boss. He put a 428 Cobra Jet in it. Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. So when did he sell the engine for $1,500 though? That's probably the question. If he sold it for $1,500, what year was that? because that could come into play too. C&J, we've had horses for the last 45 years, and I got this pony to restore, and all I get is flack for dumping money into it from the wife. Can anyone else relate to this? Nope. It's just you. It's just you. That's a good question. Now I don't know how all that works. I can tell you that in my situation, my wife knew that I was into cars long before we ever got married, even. So when we started dating, I'd just gotten out of the Army, and I was still helping out at my family's junkyard. And believe it or not, I was working at Kmart for a brief period of time before I went to school for aircraft maintenance. But I also was racing stock cars. And so she would show up. She would come to the racetrack and watch me race, hang out, do those things. And she knew that cars were part of my life and that there was no change in that. So when we got married and moved here to Georgia, it was almost immediate that I started working on cars and building cars. So I worked in my house garage. I didn't have this shop out here. I had just a house garage. And I was working on my cars in that garage and helping people with their cars and all sorts of things. In the meantime, I'd also, I think it was a few years later, ended up buying a stock car. Roger and I did some racing together, a couple years of that. And she put up with it. She knows this is what I do. So maybe the situation is different for everybody. Like if you've had horses for 45 years and you start doing something different, then maybe that's a conflict of interest within the relationship. I don't know. I know for us, this is my life. This is what I do. And she knows I'm either doing this or I'm helping other people, or I am editing videos or answering emails or whatever, and just keep the ball rolling. That's kind of how it is for our situation. But I'll tell you this. This is a funny story. Many years ago, my in-laws were visiting, and I'm not one to just generally sit around. I want to be doing something. So I don't usually sit around and just chit chat. I like to be doing things. But when you've got family, it matters, but it also is like, well, they already know what I do, kind of thing. So whenever the family was visiting, and they were here to see our kids, their grandkids. They weren't here, really to see me anyway. But I was out here in the garage, and I'm doing my stuff. And my mother-in-law said to my wife, she said, "Why is he always out in the garage? Why is he always out in the garage?" And maybe you can use this as fuel. She commented to her mom and said, "Look, I know where he's at. He's not going to some bar. He's not drinking. He's not goofing off. He's not fooling around with somebody else. If I need him, he's right there in the garage. All I have to do is walk out there and get him." And her mom was like, "Okay." And that's the way it's been. That's the reality of it. I'm right here. You need me? Come get me. She'll even text me. "Hey, I need some help in the house." Okay, fine. So that's all. That's all I got to say about that. Steve Reed sold about a month ago. He had it on Marketplace. Okay. Talking about the boss. Okay. James, my wife, just wants to drive it when I'm done. When and if that happens, she knows it brings me joy to fiddle on it purpose during retirement. Yeah. And so I wanted to talk about that a little bit too, and I'm glad you kind of brought that up, James. So this past week, I made a trip to spend time with James. And he's got a challenge ahead of him, to be honest. I mean, he's got several challenges. Physical challenges, and of course the challenge of putting together this 67 Mustang convertible that he's building. And, I was happy to get up there and get involved and help him out. And we got some stuff done. And I hopefully got the ball rolling in the right direction. And, I made some video with him. We did some little conversation. We also managed to do some welding on the jig and the car to get it started. And this is something I've wanted to do for quite a while, and it was actually a good time. I've talked about it before. I like to go, like, getting the RV. Part of that process was to be able to do stuff like that. And even if it ends up being that I go up there again sometime, I don't know. It's 130 miles is the distance. So it may even be that I just drive up there one day, later on, instead of taking the RV because it's not that far. But that is something I've been trying to do more of, make these trips and go help somebody out with their car. I think it's a good thing to do, and it's encouraging for me and also for them to get stuff moving and get a sense of direction on their projects. So there will be a video coming out on that. It'll be coming out this week, and so I'm looking forward to getting that out there. I really am, and I'm looking forward to seeing updates from James on his project. So anyway, let's move on from there. Robert Bloxham, hello all. Hello, Robert. Glad you're here. Dave Tyson, I work on autos. My wife wanted a Mustang. Okay. Yeah, my wife really doesn't care, to be honest. I mean, she doesn't care about classic cars. It doesn't matter to her. She's happy to have her minivan, gets her from point A to point B and back. That's all she's worried about. She just really has no real interest in classic cars or anything. So, and that's fine. I get it. There's probably things she does that I don't have any interest in either, but it's part of the arrangement that everybody has. Tony, Fadiga? That's my guess. Tony Fadiga. That's all I'm saying. Tony Fadiga. That's my guess. How much base coat, mixes 2-to-1, should I buy to paint a 66 coupe? Just the outside and jams. Night mist blue over gray primer. Drop a vice and pick up a hobby, I was told. Oh. Okay. Typically, 1 gallon is enough. 1 gallon. I wouldn't buy 3/4 of a gallon, buy 1 gallon. Even though it mixes 2-to-1, just get the gallon. So typically when I paint, like if it's a hard top, right? If it's a coupe, coupe. So when I paint a car, 1 gallon will cover the whole outside of the car, the underside of the hood, the underside of the deck lid, and then the areas of the doors that need addressed. And there's usually about that much left over. Now it's putting on a good solid 2 coats of paint, probably even to 3, because your first coat, actually probably 3 coats, let's say. Your first coat is more of a dust coat type of thing. You don't want to be pouring it on there just yet. You want to let the material kind of get on the car and create kind of a grippy base, let's say. So you may end up putting on three coats total, counting the mist coat or whatever. But yeah, a gallon should do you fine. A gallon will do you fine. I wouldn't go any less than that. Good question. Thank you. Kevin, on my trip to work, I drive past a house and beside a garage. See what looks like. It looks to be a 67 or 68 Mustang, I guess. Yeah. Mustang convertible. Okay. But he says, my phone is a Samsung and it's terrible. Okay. Yeah, they're still out there. they're still finding these cars out there now. Condition wise, I can't say, what to expect. I don't know where you live. Um, Depending on where you're at in the country, it could be rotted to the ground. But there are some places in the South where you can still pull a decent car out of a field, and it's got enough there to keep it together. James, actually, I mocked up the wheelhouse, quarters, and tail lamp panel. Quite a few fitment issues. Some radius not lining up. Bumper brackets that was pre-welded is horribly out of position. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, that's not uncommon. So it's going to take some time, and you'll figure it out. You've got a good base to start with. As you know, taking measurements and modifying a flange here and there makes all the difference. Tony says thank you. You're welcome, Tony. And Kevin, I live in Ontario, Canada. I'm guessing it's worse than the Brooklyn Pony was. Yikes. So the door hinges are rusted off? Yeah. You can't get much worse than the Brooklyn Pony, to be honest. You really can't get much worse than that. Yeah. So I've had some other people send me pictures of potential projects and different things. And, sometimes I don't know, people don't see the problems like right in front of them. Sometimes there's issues that to me just stand out, and you should know that, hey, obviously this is like going to break in half if I try to move it or something. And I understand everybody has their dream cars and they want to have this or that and the other, and they get an opportunity sometimes, but sometimes the car is just really, really, really bad. And then you have to weigh into it. Is it worth it? Is it something I want to mess with? Is it something I want to build? Sometimes the answer is yes, even though you could be starting with almost nothing, and that's fine. James is building the car piece by piece, and I think that's fantastic. It gives him something to do, and also gives him that purpose and that drive sort of thing. But sometimes you get a car that is just like the Brooklyn Pony. The difficulty with that car is I never saw it before it showed up, and that was my fault. I never saw pictures of it, or the pictures. I'll take that back. I saw some pictures of it, but not the pictures that they wanted me to see. There was some kind of false advertising going on there with that project, and so sometimes you don't know what you're getting into. And that was kind of the case with the Brooklyn Pony. I really didn't have some sincere input on that car. And I was able to get it there, put it back together, build it from some door hinges. So it can be done, and I've proven that point several times. But like this car here, there was next to nothing that was usable off the whole car. But thankfully, Dynacorn makes some decent panels, and I had a foundation to work with the new floor pan, and got it back together. So, James, by the way, while you were here, I did a few tack welds, not welding in years, and gung-ho to do it. I forgot to wear gloves. Hand sunburned. PPE is super important. Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even think to mention that. But yeah, and if you notice, whenever I was welding, I put on a jacket, I put on gloves, and that's really important for everybody. We don't think about it when we're younger, or maybe even when we're not, even when we're in our 30s and 40s and 50s. We just think, hey, I've always done this. I can weld this and weld that. And you don't realize how much radiation you're putting on your body. And just as an example, I don't think it is anything, but here we are. We all get older, and then you start getting weird. Like I get this weird spot on my arm, and I'm like, What is that? What is it? Is it something that's going to turn into something else? Is it just a bump? Is it, is it cancer type of thing? And we're all guilty of it. You go out and mow the yard or something. And when you're a teenager, you're like, hey, let's take our shirts off and go mow the yard and okay. When you get older, you got to put stuff on. Like I go out, if I mow the yard and the sun is out, I will typically put on one of those long sleeve like nylon shirts to try to keep the sun off of my arms and stuff. Because as we get older, that's a scary thing to deal with, and I know I don't want to go down that road. So definitely put on PPE when you're doing stuff. And I don't care if it's welding or grinding. The other week I was grinding. I didn't have my face shield thing on a few weeks ago, and a month or so ago, whatever, and I got that piece of metal stuck in my eye. That was no fun. That took me out for about 2 weeks. And all the visits to the hospital and trying to take care of it, it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. Use the proper gear and try to keep yourself safe. And I try to emulate that as much as I can. But even I make mistakes on occasion. Yeah. So good point. Good point. Let me think, what else was there? I think that covers the bulk of things. We towed with the RV as I had not done that before. Hooked up my little Honda, and we towed it up to North Georgia, and it towed fine. Didn't have any issues. Still found that when a semi truck passes your big camper and blows you around on the road, you got to kind of like anticipate it and start shifting your steering a little bit to not get blown off the road. But it was a good trip. It was. Richard, did you repair the side scoop mounts on Slither already? I did on the driver's side's done. So I cut that loose and moved it back, and so the pod or whatever fits like it's supposed to. I have to verify this side, and it shouldn't be that big a deal. But just know, like I said, test fit this stuff. That was one of the biggest problems I had with the Brooklyn Pony project, was the owner kept putting me off, and I kept saying, I need parts, I need the trim, I need this, I need that, I want to make sure everything fits before I ever go to paint. And he wouldn't send me anything. It ended up being like 2 years that he wasn't sending me parts. That's why I quit that project. And the whole thing just came to a head, and I said, I'm not going to do anymore, because if I can't test fit all these parts prior to paint, I can't tell you what it's going to end up looking like. I'm not going to paint something and then go, hey, this doesn't fit. Now I got to backtrack and do something different. And so it turned into a nightmare. And I'm glad. I wish I could have finished that car. I really wanted to get to a point where I could have hit the key, started that car up, and drove it out the door. And so it was really disappointing to go through that process and just feel like I was being used. So I'm glad that's out and gone. Richard, I'm looking forward to that video. I can't believe how much that was off. Yeah, it was, and technically it was off about a half inch. Yeah, it was really close to a half inch. And you think that, like, if they build these panels wherever they build them, in China or whatever, are they not following up with that piece? Like, hey, we should have a blank vent that we can set in there and know that it's going to fit. Just a thought. Just take 1 out of 100 and just test it and go, oh, wait a minute, something's wrong. We need to adjust the tooling half an inch and make it right. So, Anyway, just don't get me started. James, you are on to bigger and better things. I am, and I'm looking forward. I really am looking forward to getting this car in paint. I mean, I wasn't able to do that with the Brooklyn Pony, but and of course that car was going to be more of a turnkey finished product. This car, I'm not going to be doing the engine and that stuff, but it will feel good to get it in the paint and, go from there. But there are other things definitely in the pipeline. And I definitely need to get everything lined up so that the coming year, as I work on the 68 coupe to fastback project, I may have to squeeze in my Mach 1 just to do the quarter panels. I don't really care. I don't need it finished, but I would like to fix the quarter panels because I don't like them looking the way they do. I want them to be together and finished. So I would like to take care of that, rehang the doors on the car, at least be able to move it around as a one-piece deal. And that's going to have to happen anyway, because at some point soon, this car has to end up back in the paint booth. And so it'll end up that the 70 Mach 1 will be in here, probably underneath the 68 coupe. My Mach 1 will end up here, and then this car will end up in the paint booth. So it's going to be interesting to I'll have to take some pictures. I'll have to get all of them together. Like, once I get the 70 in here, I don't know if I can I may have to bring the 69 up first and just put it in here in the garage just to take pictures and show like 4 cars. Yeah, 4 cars in here. And maybe even set Jade out front. Have a pile of Mustangs, right? James, I want to see how Black Jade paint looks like fresh out of the gun. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It will be interesting. I know I posted or had pictures before that I pulled off the net, and I don't know if I have one in my stockpile of pictures on here on the right in my little inventory thing. But it's going to be quite different. That color is it's a very dark green, and it's hard to believe whenever you go back and you look at like this picture and realize how bad that car was and what I managed to salvage off of it. But I don't have the I used it on last week's thumbnail. So I don't have that one available. Maybe I do have it. I might have that picture saved. But I'm looking forward to it too. I want to see how it's going to look in base coat, clear coat. So there's basically what the car should look like when it's all put together. Except for that's a stock hood scoop. That's not a Cobra Jet. And I noticed the other day, if you look at this picture, I saw a car the other day. I forget where it was. If it was a 69, maybe it was a 70. And if you notice the stripe on the side of the car on the 69, it runs straight back. I don't see it kicking up at all. And I saw another car where it was actually angled up in the back. And I thought, that's not right. That can't be right. And I don't know if it was a 70 and maybe they did something different. I don't know. But there was something, the striping was not right. It was not in the right spot. So, Tall Red Easel. With all the filming in your area you have done. Oh, have you done any more background action? I have not. But I am trying. If I get the opportunity, I'll take advantage of it. There will be, I think that show's coming out next year. The Bondsman. Yeah, The Bondsman. So you have to keep out for that. I think it's on Amazon Prime, I think. So you have to look up that show with Kevin Bacon. Maybe you'll see me on there. But thank you for the tip. Appreciate that. Dominic, I'm guessing Gozo. I'm going to say Gozo. Always a great feeling when a car is painted. You stare at the metal so long, it's nice to see some color. Huge weight off the shoulders. I agree. As long as nothing is wrong with it. Because when I find that something is wrong, and then I'm going, okay, I'm starting over, that's the worst feeling. So the fantastic feeling of having the paint show up on the body is twice as bad whenever you realize there was a mistake made and now you're paying for it. And so I don't want to have that situation again. The last thing I painted was this Bronco, and it turned out really nice. I will say that. The owner's very happy with it. I was very happy with it. And it's one of those things, too, where you learn with each time you do something. So even I learn when I'm painting, I learn things and get better with each time. Not that I look forward to it. I'm not a fan. I will paint, but it's not my favorite thing to do. And Don says, amen, Dominic. Yeah. You're right. James, don't forget the little people when you become a rich movie star. Remember, Brad Pitt started as an extra. Yeah, I think I'm well past that point. Nobody wants a grumpy old guy with out of shape and it's funny. I had those two opportunities for some sort of TV show deal, and I didn't fit what they were looking for, which is fine. I doubt there's another chance of that coming, and that's okay too. I'm happy to just be here and continue to work on cars, and even help people out when I can, and that's fine. That'll get me through the through the rest of my life. Richard, thank you, sir. Buy yourself a cup of coffee and a gob, and I will do that this coming week when we go back up to Pennsylvania. I will have at least one, if not several, gobs. So, just to give everybody a highlight on that, if you look up gob and you look up it's Yost, I think Yost Bakery is the name of it, in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. That's where the gob originated, and there are now copies of the gobs all over the place. But some people might call them whoopie pies or something like that. But in where I grew up, they were called gobs, and they were a dessert made for coal miners. So it was almost like a dry cake with a very kind of dry icing in the middle. It's a very unique type of snack cake. But yeah, I will definitely be buying some of those when we go back to Pennsylvania. I think the last time I bought a whole box of like 12 or something. James, same as Gobstopper. Nope, not the same. Not the same. Not even. No, you'd have to search Yost, Yost, I think, bakery. I think is Yost. So Kevin says, what color is a 70 Mach 1? 70 was a year for high impact colors. As far as I know, I haven't looked up the actual, I haven't done a Marty report or anything on it, but I'm assuming that it is red. From the pictures that I have received, I'm seeing if I have any more of those pictures on the side. I thought I had put some up before. I guess I didn't. Um, the color is red, so I'll have to let me see if I can get a hold of a picture, and I can email it up to the screen. But again, that's the assumption that it's red. The pictures that I have show it red with a black Mach 1 stripe on the back, on the tail panel, or on the deck lid. And so we'll see. You know, I've said it before. I'm not necessarily a fan of red, but and I don't even know what I'm going to do with this car yet. Honestly, it could end up being put together. It could end up that it just sits. It could end up that I sell it. I don't know, but I couldn't pass up the opportunity to get it. Where's it at? I know I have pictures of it. I'll find them. And now the car itself does not have. There's no engine or transmission. I don't think there's any interior. I do know from the VIN number that it is. Yeah, there we go. It is a Mach 1. And currently it has 69 front fenders on it. And I'm not sure how that came about. If somebody was just trying to, clone it into a 69, because it has the right quarter panels. And there's no vent spaces or no vent pods on the quarter panels. So, okay, I'll send those pictures, and we'll get a look at them once it goes through all the space and gets here. James says my wife still wants the '67 Mustang Blue. Oh well, I can't help you with that. Dominic, favorite tool in the shop? Everyone has a favorite. Well, I will say for the most part, the one of my favorite tools is the plasma cutter. That's one of them. Now, it also depends on what I'm doing, what stage of the game I'm in with the project. So, plasma cutter is one obvious choice, and then, your welder is another choice, and then I have other secondary tools like the metal shear that I have. If I need to cut patches or even circles, I can do it with the little handheld metal shear. The other thing that has become a favorite tool for me is my hole punch. I really like my hole punch. I bought this thing off Amazon, and it has it's got a really deep throat, so you can go far into a flange and punch holes. So really can't complain about that. Let me see. I also got a picture from Terry Keithley, so I need to pull that up because he's working on that 40 Ford. And let me see if I can. Which one was it? This one. But yeah, there's a variety of tools, and of course, I've got a favorite hammer. I've got favorite wrenches. There's a lot of things that I can say are my favorite. So here's the 40 Ford that Terry Keithley's putting together. Got that back panel up in there. That's nice. I like it. Yeah. Every step is an improvement whenever you're doing stuff like that. And hard to beat. Seeing new metal go in and have good fitting pieces. Really hard to beat that. So, way to go, Terry. Okay, so Robert has says the most favorite tool is the air conditioner. Nothing else comes close. That is a very, very good tool to have. Whoops, excuse me, very good tool to have. I agree. Dave Tyson, 10 millimeter socket. Yeah, that's yeah. Richard, which plasma cutter do you recommend? You know, that's a good question. I have a plasma cutter from Yes Welder, and I have one from Arc Captain. In fact, I've had Yes Welder contact me. They want to send me their latest and greatest plasma cutter to do another video on that one. And I have not decided yet if I'm going to do it. But I've had good luck with both of those, the Yes Welder and the Arc Captain. So I can't say one's better than the other, but those are two that I've used, and I can say they work. Dominic, I've yet to bring myself to buy a plasma cutter. Yeah, I bought one years and years ago when I did the 65, the light blue Mustang. And then I started getting offers from like Yes Welder. They said, hey, we'll send you a plasma cutter if you'll do a video. I said, okay, fine. Then they sent me welders. Arc Captain sent me a welder. Arc Captain sent me a plasma cutter. Evolution Power Tools sent me the nice, super nice chop saws that I have. So sometimes it's beneficial to get stuff like that. Scott Robinson, any word on Grease Rookie Garage? Seemed like a good kid and loved your work. Yes, he and I do communicate on occasion. I know he started getting into the video stuff, and he realized that his family was more important, basically. So he has, his job involves videography for like one of the Outdoor Network or something like that. And he found that he was having to travel and wasn't able to do videos and stuff like that, and would rather spend more time with his kids. And so I feel like he's kind of given up on the YouTube thing, which is fine. That's a good call on his part. We do communicate on occasion though. I may send him a text once in a while, just to see how he's doing. But yeah, he's still doing good. Travis, favorite year Mustang for you? You know, that's a tough question. It really is. Initially, I would say I fell in love with the 69 Fastback or Mach 1 because my dad had one. He had a 69 Mach 1, Acapulco blue, black interior, all that stuff. But over time, you know, I know we had a 70 Mach 1 at the junkyard for a while, and there were a few 69 coupes, 70 coupe, but I don't remember anything beyond that, like anything older than that. And so I never really had much of a taste of anything else until I started doing the body shop. So back in 2005, one of the first Mustangs that I did to completion was a 65 or 66 coupe. I don't even remember which one it is at this point. And so I started with doing those, and then I ended up doing the moving forward. I did the light blue Mustang 65, and then I did the Brooklyn Pony 66. Actually, I did a Mystique Mustang. I take that back. 65 Mystique, 66 Brooklyn Pony. And then in the process, I bought a 68, and I started working on Jade. And so that dragged on for a good period of time. Now, what I found was my taste has probably been more towards, well, I still love the 69 just because of the way it looks. But I like a lot the 68s. It feels like they got the bugs worked out of the 65, 6, and 7 car, and 68 was like, to me, almost like the first correctly built Mustang. Like it had the right shock towers, or it had, this feature or that feature. It feels more like they refined it to 68. So I really have an affection for the 68 Mustangs. 67s are okay because they're close to that. 65 and 6, I like them, but I'm not I'm not looking at having one or buying one or driving one. So I really like the 68s, and I actually like the 68 coupe a lot. That's why I built Jade. I just like the way it looks. Now, of course, at this point, I've got the 69 Mach 1 of my own, which I will build to the same standard of Jade. But then I've also got the 68 coupe sitting outside that is a straight, almost rust-free car. And it may get the secondary Jade treatment, to get it similar. So I don't know what I'm going to end up with at the end of time, but that's where I'm at. I really do like the 68 a lot, and the 69. They're almost, to me, almost on the same plane right now in my mind. But good question. That's where I'm at. Terry says, "Thank you, Barry. Love my AC welder." Yes. Kevin, I remember watching your video series, watching your grandfather's Model A Ford. It seems that they are becoming very popular again. I have an old photo of my grandfather's town car from way back. Okay. Yeah, and in fact, the Model A, when I did the video that I did for that car, was not really intended to be on YouTube. That was for most of that was for me to know what I took apart and process it. And then as time went on, it became more of a maybe a valuable thing that I could put on YouTube for other people to see how these things are put together. So it did turn out pretty good for that as well. But yeah, that was because I did the Model A. I look back on these things and I'm like, did you really do that? So I think it was 2006, January of 2006. I think I started on that car. I think, and I finished it in August 2007. In the meantime, working full time at Delta Airlines and basically full time at the body shop, and I was working on the Model A whenever I was not sleeping. James, I sent a picture of what my '67 Mustang was built: raven black body, red deluxe interior with a white top. I think it's a very unique color combination from factory. Yeah, that is a very unique combination of colors. So let me download that. I'm gonna have to let me pull up this because I downloaded these other pictures of the '70 Mustang that I'm picking up. So let me show you. Let me show those. Well, I can download this one. So this is the picture what James's '67 Mustang is supposed to look like, and that's gonna be a sharp car. I like it. I do like that. Seeing it in a more visual now, we talked about it, but seeing it it makes more sense now with the color combination. So I like it. All right, let me go back and show you the 70 Mustang. Put on James's comment for a minute. So here's the car that I'm picking up at the end of the week. Now again, somebody has put 69 front fenders on it, and it looks like they reskinned the quarters. So you can see here, somebody has done some work to it. I don't know how good the quality is. I have no idea. I don't really care. I'm more interested in having the bones of the car and a good VIN number. And so there you can see the back of the car. It shows red. So again, I can only assume that is the color that it was. And I think I have one more picture. And I think this is the engine bay. And you can see somebody put a patch where the battery was. But it looks, at least from here, I don't know, you can see there's some patchwork on top of the apron. To me, that's all minor stuff. That's all stuff that I can change and take off and replace or whatever. But but it looks like the frame rails look okay. You know, the things that you don't want to have to change out. But we'll find out. Once I get it here, I'll find out. Joe Cox, good evening. I have a 67 Mustang. The floor pans are replaced and the seatbelt holes are missing in the floor. What's the best way to mount the seatbelt to the floor pan? Well, you say the seatbelt holes are missing. So what you really mean is the people that put the floor pan in didn't put the mount points back, right? What's the best way to mount the seatbelts to the floor pan? Okay, my understanding, I think I've seen where you can buy those plates. You just have to go on CJ Pony or Kentucky Mustang or something and look up seatbelt mount bosses or boss plates or something like that. The difficulty is, depending on what your status is, if it's all done, then it's going to be a lot more difficult to put those in because they're supposed to be welded to the floor pan. What you can do, you could probably still use those plates, but add a you might have to put a big washer on the inside, because ideally, even if they're welded, it's still relying on the strength of that metal to keep you from being pulled out of the seat, right? And like, in stock cars and stuff, many times I'd seen people take two big washers and sandwich the metal. So you'd have a big washer on the outside, a big washer on the inside, and a bolt coming through the floor pan, and then a seatbelt bolted to that. You may be able to get away with that. Just put that plate on the inside, which is threaded, makes it a little more challenging to put it together by yourself, because that plate, you don't want it to move. And you can maybe be able to epoxy it in place, maybe, just short term. I don't know. But ideally, you want to have those things welded in. So just let me say that up front. You should weld them in, okay? But if you decide to put in a big washer and sandwich the metal, it may be suitable. But it's about it. But you can buy those plates. They've got it's almost like cupped a little bit. It's where you got a center part with the post or the threaded part sticking out. I don't know if I have any around here or not. I probably do somewhere, but I know you can buy them. James could have used that chop saw this past week. Yeah, that would have been handy. Robert, the seatbelt plates are available, and so is a larger chunk of thicker steel, and make your own. Yes. And like he says, I don't have a lot of faith in the seatbelt mount points in these cars in the event of a crash. Yeah. I mean, the mount point that's in the rocker panel is okay. It's there. It's not coming out. That's thicker metal. The floor pan is it's not that thick. But they try to spread it over an area so that by having a larger plate, it disperses or it goes to a bigger area. So it's not like you're having just a small bolt, the head of a bolt sticking in a hole, right, on the backside of the hole. That would pull through that floor pan pretty easily. But you put a large plate back there, it's going to help spread that load out and make it safer. So. Okay. I'm getting to the point where my throat's starting to hurt, so that means it's time for me to call it a night. James says Playboy Pink 70 Mach 1 would be rare paint. Yes, it would. Yes, it would. And I don't plan to paint anything I have that color unless it came that way. But yeah, that there are several combinations. In fact, we talked about this briefly before. The Rainbow of Colors series they had in '68. Back in the 70s, when Dodge was doing all their crazy colors, plum crazy and whatever, they had some advertising cars where they had painted all those colors. I think I had it up here at one time. They had painted all those colors on one car. And it was a dealer type thing to where they could show it off and say, you know, what color do you want? Any one of these are available. And I thought, you know what? That would be kind of cool to do the rainbow of colors on a 68 Mustang and do that same type of thing. And you could even make it like a, you know, a swoosh type of pattern or something. I think that would be kind of cool to pull off, but never know. So, and Terry Keithley says, "Hi, hey Jerry, it's time of year again. Go Buckeyes." Yep. And I'm gonna say that's it for tonight. My voice has had enough, and as I said, I do not plan to do a live stream next Monday unless it would be like on my phone. Like I'm not gonna have a computer access or anything like that. So that's where we're at. So if I'm not here next Monday, which I don't plan to be, then it'll be 2 weeks. And we'll carry on from there and see how things go. We'll have a video out this week with my time spent with James. And then next week will be something more on the Cobra Jet. So that's it. And until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.